Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll introduce you to 7 operations that have made stewardship and conservation a priority as we highlight the 2021 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. We'll also examine why this program is so important to the future success of the beef industry.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Auctioner. Thanks for joining us. Each year since 1991, the Environmental Stewardship Award Program, also known as ESAP, recognizes the nation's best operations for their outstanding stewardship practices and conservation achievements. These regional and national winners are honored for their commitment to protecting the environment and improving fish and wildlife habitats while operating profitable cattle operations. Today, we're introducing the 7 regional winners for 2021 and taking a closer look at their operations. We'll also discuss why the stewardship program is so important to the ongoing success of the beef industry. Generous support from sponsors has been one key to the success and longevity of the Environmental Stewardship Award Program. Another has been the commitment of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And joining us now is NCBA President-elect Todd Wilkinson. Why is the Environmental Stewardship Award Program so important to our industry, Todd?
Kevin, there's really not another entity or another method that we can convey the true meaning of what it is to be the farmer, the rancher out on the land, and the attributes that come from our industry. That program tells the story just for what it is.
You know, we have some wonderful stories of these regional and national winners, beautiful videos that really speak to what's happening on farms and ranches all across the country. How do those stories impact the work we do in DC?
When you see the heart of that producer coming out through that video, and you could tell how much they care for their livestock, that message just resonates when you go up and you talk on the Hill. I mean, they really get the picture that these people care about what they're doing.
Now, you've actually been in the room through these selection processes, and what would you tell us in terms of the selection process and just how difficult it is to select these national winners?
Well, the regions of the country each select participants, and you sit there and you think, well, this isn't going to be difficult. I'm just going to read a bunch of papers. It's arduous to try and make someone a number 1 slot and somebody else a number 2 or number 3 or 5 because the competition is so close, and their life is in those ranches, and you can see it, and it's pretty hard to distinguish when you get to that level one above the other. So the program does a wonderful job about emphasizing different attributes of different places, and that's what gets you to the top.
Now, you're a producer yourself, and you've seen some of the conservation and stewardship practices they've implemented. What's impressed you the most about some of what you've seen and read in these applications?
You know, whether it's a producer in Hawaii or whether it's a producer in New York or whether it's a producer in my home state in South Dakota, every ecosystem is different. All the challenges are not the same, and yet those producers have found a way to adapt, improve, and build upon what's been there for previous generations. And it just proves that the people that are in this industry have their heart and soul into it.
Absolutely. So last question, what would you say to folks watching relative to your encouragement to get involved both in NCBA, but also potentially to throw their name in the hat relative to some of these Environmental Stewardship Award applications?
You know, I'd tell you to get involved because one, I know nobody wants to go out and have people look at your ranch and make you appear like you're somewhat better than your peers. But the fact is, you got a great story to tell. And unless we tell that story, the rest of the world doesn't know. And the other part of your question was getting involved in NCBA.
Yes.
You know, if you're not involved, you're not a part of the solution. So it doesn't take much, but just get excited and get involved. We'd love to have you to the party.
That's a great message. Thanks again for your time, Todd. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award next year, just visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. NCBA represents cattle farmers and ranchers in 7 different regions around the country. And accordingly, there is one winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award from each of those 7 regions. So now it's time to reveal our first honoree for 2021 with a visit to the state of New York.
Cattle and a good, clean environment absolutely can go together. And I'd like to think we're living proof of that. Hi, I'm Mike McMahon from Easy Acres. We're a 900 cow dairy in Homer, New York. If you look on the map of New York, we're almost dead center. We're at the southern Finger Lakes region, they call it. We are a family operation. There are 4 owners of the business. Myself and my brother Pete are the senior partners. My son Neil and another young man, Ethan Supa, are the 2 junior partners. And my wife Edie, she's our CFO. We spend a lot of time thinking about the water in and around our farm. The aquifer that we farm over flows to the south, and our tillable land starts right at the edge of the village of Homer. So we have approximately 25,000 people that depend on us doing a good job to keep that water clean and safe that they're drinking. Over the years, we have had concerns from neighbors when we're spreading manure. Boy, if it smells that bad, what are you doing to our water? And so we thought, you know, we've got to do something to allay these people's fears about agriculture and about our agricultural practices over this water supply. So we made the decision to build a concrete manure storage that was sided inside and out with PVC that would seal up watertight so that we would never have to worry about concrete cracking and losing effluent to the environment. We also have voluntarily took the measures and the expense, the personal expense, to test the wells in this valley from the beginning of the aquifer to the end of it, ending in the village municipal well itself. So quarterly, we're taking samples, 5 well samples, so that we could ensure ourselves as well as our neighbors that our agronomic practices were sound and safe for the water supply.
Easy Acres can show year after year that the quality of the water has gotten better since they've been farming here, and that's amazing. You would think it would go the other direction, but in fact, it's gotten better.
People were really happy to see that we had been monitoring our agronomic practices, not only for their sake, but for our sake, to know that we're doing things right. When you control this much land, this close to a town or village, you got a responsibility. And it certainly is a source of pride to know that we don't necessarily do things because we have to, we do things because it's the right thing to do.
One by one, we're highlighting the 2021 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's head to Region 2 and meet the winners from Georgia.
Sustainability will have to stay at the forefront of everybody's mind, or else it's the place isn't going to be here. You've got to be conscientious of how you treat things for them to last.
I'm James Vaughn from Vaughn Farms. We're in Monroe County, Georgia, near the city of Forsyth. We're a family operation My dad moved here when he was 14 in 1932. I came back to the farm in 1982. I started expanding, and my sons have kept expanding it, and my sons understand what it takes to sustain this place. Keep the cattle healthy, keep the grass healthy, keep the soil healthy.
We got to be mindful of everything we do, partly because if you do something to potentially harm the land, it's not only bad for the land, it's bad for your profitability. We need this land to produce for us and for the cows.
Taking care of the land and the water has always been a top priority here. That's one of the most important things we do. And the cattle are an important tool for us achieving our sustainability goals. Without the cattle, we couldn't manage this grassland. This farm has 2 streams running through it, and on the north side of these pastures and on the south side. And those creeks provide the water system for the town of Forsyth and also for the city of Macon, which is only about 25 miles south of here. We get on average about 50 inches of rainfall a year. And as rolling as this land is, if it's not in good grass cover like we're standing in now, it's going in the streams. So it's really important that we conserve the soil with good grasses. We want the nutrients to be here, and we want the soil to be here, and we want to build up the organic matter in the soil where it'll hold the moisture. It'll be spongy, it'll bring in the moisture, and it'll stay there. And it also, when we do soil testing and check the organic matter in the soil, it's up. And the soil's in good shape, and that's what sustains us, all of us in the cattle business. The soil and the grass, that's what we're really about, is keeping the land in place and trying to make it better.
Sustainability means to me taking care of the land, thinking about long-term effects of what you're doing now for future generations. If you're going to be sustainable, I mean, you're going to have to think about it for the long haul.
I think my dad would be very proud of this farm. This is our little part of paradise. And there's nothing more important to any of us out here than looking after this soil and these cattle and this land, because we kind of feel like that's what we were put here to do.
These Environmental Stewardship Award winners are helping to make a difference every day. To join them as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, just give us a call at 1-866-233-3872, or you can visit the website ncba.org. Now, we're just getting started on this special edition of Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Coming up, we'll introduce you to 5 more operations that have made stewardship a priority as we continue our look at the 2021 ESAP Regional winners. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. Well, during these times, your support has meant everything to us. So my employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. We're selling the best products ever for the best prices ever. For example, we have my standard size MyPillow, regularly $69.98, now only $19.98 with your promo code. Or you can get custom fit with my premium queen size MyPillows, regularly $79.98, now just $29.98. Or my king size, regular $89.98, now just $34.98. So go to mypillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen, or call the 1-800 number below to receive this exclusive offer. If you do it right now, I'm going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
Today, we're taking a look at the 2021 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. So how are the ESAP winners selected, and what do they mean to the beef industry? Joining us now is Barb Cooksley. She's former Nebraska Cattlemen president and a member of the selection committee. So Barb, why is it so important to utilize the ESAP program to tell the story of how farmers and ranchers are caring for the land and the environment?
There are so many people who don't understand how cattle, wildlife, grass, water, they all interact. We are stewards of the land as cattle producers, and it's an opportunity for us to share what we have experienced, what we've learned, and we need to keep telling our story out there because there are fewer and fewer people involved in day-to-day agriculture.
I really understand that. Well, give us the inner workings of the committee itself. Tell us how the selection committee is formed and a little bit about the process of evaluating these candidates.
The selection committee is made up of regional vice presidents across NCBA, but we have academia, we have corporations, we have McDonald's.
Sure.
And they help sponsor these award winners, and the fact that they give us their perspective. And we also have former winners of the ESAP that are on that committee. And so it's a broad range of eyes that look at it from various parts of the country. The regional vice presidents, we're from California to the East Coast and Montana to Texas. And so we have to look at it through our lens. What works in Nebraska wouldn't be sustainable maybe in the desert high plains.
And I was going to ask you, I mean, specifically, you have one from each of 7 regions. Why is it so important to have that regional representation from coast to coast, as you indicate?
Because there is no one right way to do it. When you're talking less than 12 inches of precip to a swamp area, to your mountains, the predators that these folks deal with, some of us just have coyotes, some have bears and mountain lions to deal with. And the fact
and wolves now in Colorado.
And wolves, I think in Nebraska too. And the fact that there are folks just outside of high populated metropolitan areas that have to deal with a different outlook from their neighbors to those of us who are more remote. So how do they tell their story differently? How do they reach out? And it was interesting, on some, they'll do tours, bring out either college interns, or they'll have grade school kids come out and learn about their operation. They have family members coming back that bring a different perspective to not just a cow-calf operation or a feedlot. Let's maybe market our beef directly, and how do we run the gamut of the rules and regulations that maybe an older generation. And then we even had some applications that didn't have the generational tie. And that was always interesting to read, because someone new coming in with that kind of passion, you had to look at that very hard and go, that's not easy. They had to look to their neighbors or to universities for answers, and they're doing a wonderful job. So it's not a cut and dried, everyone has an opportunity to tell their story.
So specifically, what are the kind of criteria that you are evaluating, or what are you looking for as you evaluate these top operations to find the national winner?
It's hard.
I bet.
We do look for, of course, their environmental stewardship, their passion for the industry, not just cattle, but for the land, the water, the outreach, the consumer. Ultimately, we want to reach out to that consumer. We look at community involvement, be it at your local church, to taking trips to the Hill to advocate on behalf of the industry.
And I was going to say, after being involved in this myself all these years, these folks have served as inspiration to me to ask myself the question, not how can I be a national winner, but but how can I do something better on my own ranch? Would you agree?
I would agree that these winners are probably at the front of the bell curve. They are willing to take a risk, take a chance, get outside their comfort zone. One that I was reviewing wanted to do something different with runoff from their feedlot instead of into a lagoon. They wanted to use grass to filter. And so they were working with the university in that state on a trial basis. That was awesome to not just go with the status quo. We can do it better.
That's cool. Great stories, and thank you to you and all the other regional vice presidents for all your leadership and just the sheer effort you put into this program. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now, if you want to rewatch the stories of these regional winners, then visit the Environmental Stewardship Awards page on YouTube. Not only can you see this year's winners, but you can check out winners from past years as well. You can also go to the Cattlemen to Cattlemen page to catch up on anything you've missed on our show, including educational segments and producer profiles from all around the country. So check out both the Environmental Stewardship Awards page and the Cattlemen to Cattlemen page on YouTube. Cattle producers face all kinds of challenges when it comes to protecting the environment, but they all have one common goal, and that's leaving the land better than they found it. Let's head to Region 3 and the winning operation from Iowa.
We need to leave this world better than how we found it. It's just the way it should be. I'm Justin Robbins with Robbins Land and Cattle here in Scranton, Iowa. I farm with my wife Lacey and son McKinley. We have a cow-calf operation and we raise row crops. I grew up right across the river. My wife is from the other side of the county and she grew up raising some cattle with her family. Bringing those two ideas together have been interesting at times, but it gives us two different views to be able to talk through and work through some things. Taking care of the land has always been a priority at Robbins Land and Cattle. When the water leaves our farm, it goes into the creeks and the tributaries and it hits the Raccoon River, and from the Raccoon River it goes downstream and ends up in the Des Moines area. Everything runs downhill, so I want clean water as it comes by my cows from upstream, so I want to make sure that the water downstream is clean when it leaves here. Our cows do not get in the river and just hang out and muddy the waters. In our pastures, we keep them fenced out of the water because we want to make sure that it's not just us that we're thinking about. You know, there's millions of people downstream that we need to help protect as well.
In early 2020, we started an online store to sell our beef. This gives us an opportunity to tell our story and how we operate our farm. People ask us questions all the time about how we treat the animals, what they're getting fed, do we pet them, do we name them? They're fascinated by everything we have going on here. We absolutely love questions. The more we can educate, the better we are.
People that buy our steaks and get beef from us, I want them to understand that it brings joy to our hearts to know that they are eating a tasty, healthy product that was raised with care and love.
Sustainability means to me that we want to leave this land better than when we got it. It's something you do every day. It's not just a once a year thing. It's every day you're trying to make something better. We haven't reached the end, we never will. If you want to be the best, you have to continue to improve every day.
I am proud of how far we've come. I was just telling my son McKinley, I believe I finally hit that point where I think I can own the fact that we are doing things right. And it's taken a lot of years to get where we want to be, but we truly love what we do.
We've already seen 3 great operations as we highlight the 2021 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's head now to Region 4 and meet the winners from Texas.
Being a good steward of the land that God has given us, it's something that we are obligated to do. It's something we enjoy doing, and you can't ask for a better life than that. My name is Carl Slinky. My grandfather started this particular part of the ranch in 1902.
My husband Carl is 89 and I'm 88. We've been married for 69 years. We have loved being on the ranch and we've been here about 40 years.
We've had programs that improved the ranch, made it more sustainable, and now we have a family living on it, Carson and Bonnie Womack, that we feel can take it over and will take it over.
They own the land and we own the cattle and run them on their land, and it works out great for everybody.
Carson and Bonnie are a blessing to us. They are energetic, they're young, they take care of things. They are always kind of a step ahead of us in getting things done that we know might need to be done.
There's not many places we could show up and walk into something that's been this well taken care of. We're just trying to keep it like they want it.
We felt that the mesquite and juniper were taking up so much moisture that we needed a program to get rid of that.
The brush we try to burn about 1/6 of the ranch every year.
By controlling the brush, we have more grass and we have more utilization of the water.
Carl and Pat did a great job cleaning out all this country before we got here and grubbing and reseeding and individually plant, treat, and spraying just to try to keep more grass for the cattle. For the future of Dry Creek Ranch, I hope that Bonnie and I can continue the practices Carl and Pat were using before we got here and keep growing lots of grass and try to keep making things better.
Respect for the land, to me, is very important. We have a resource of grass that can only really be used by livestock, so we must take care of that.
Cattle do make a very positive impact on this land. Pat and myself, we've had a tremendous amount of pleasure in getting the ranch to where it is. No doubt in my mind, it is sustainable. You can sustain livestock on this ranch. Although it's small, it'll produce good quality beef, and that's rewarding to me.
And with me now is Damon Palmer with Corteva Agriscience, one of the longtime sponsors of the Environmental Stewardship Program. Damon, your organization has sponsored this award for more than 30 years. Why is it so important for you all to continue supporting this program?
Well, Kevin, I think it's more important now than it's ever been. And, you know, it's been important over the last 30 years. It's been very rewarding for Corteva and Heritage Dow AgriSciences to support that. But as we look at society today and the focus on greenhouse gases, sustainability, whatever the word is today, cattle ranchers, farmers often get the finger pointed at them. And at Corteva Agriscience, we truly believe farmers and ranchers are part of the solution. And so it's more important now than it's ever been over the last 30 years.
So good to hear you say that. And I guess the other question that I wanted to ask you is, as you look at these award applicants and visit with these award winners year after year, what impresses you the most about what's happening on these farms and ranches?
I think it all starts with their love of the land and the love of the animals. And because they start at that point, everything they do on the ranch is really a result of that. And so, you know, we see a lot of diversity. People that have 50 inches of rain a year and people that struggle to get 20 inches of rain a year, but they've all got that commonality of the love of the land, love of the animals, and they implement practices across those different situations and improve the land.
Now, in your job, you live in a large city, you travel a lot, sit on airplanes a lot, visit with a lot of people outside of agriculture. What would you like them to know about these people who are stewarding the land and the resources they're entrusted with?
I would love for the people that I come in contact with to sit down and watch the videos of all these regional winners, because that says it all. I think that totally changes the conversation of somebody that may question agriculture today or question cattle production as part of the solution. If they see those videos and they see what they're pouring back into the land to truly leave it better than how they received it, I think will change a lot of minds and a lot of opinions.
Last question for the folks viewing from home. What challenge do you have for them as beef cattle producers about how they can take some of these tips and inspiration and make positive change in their own operations?
Yeah, these stories are great, and I think that there's a lot more good, a lot more sustainable practices going on than what we get to recognize. I mean, we only get to recognize a small portion of those that are submitted or those that apply. And so I would encourage folks out there to look at their operation. Every rancher I've ever talked to said, hey, I can improve. Look for those improvements and think about applying for the ESAP award. It's a really great process.
Excellent suggestions. And for more information about how you can apply or nominate someone for the Environmental Stewardship Award, go to the website environmentalstewardship.org. We've already introduced you to 4 great regional winners. When we come back, we've got 3 more outstanding families to highlight as we introduce you to the 2021 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Weeds will rob me of my investments. The weeds are not palatable to cows. They will not eat them, or if they do eat them, some of them may be toxic. So there's a return on investment by allowing there to be more grass available to be grazed by the cattle.
Did you know you can get reimbursed for attending cattle industry educational events? The Rancher Resilience Grant helps cattle producers attend valuable programs such as Cattlemen's College and Stockmanship and Stewardship training sessions. Local, state, and national events qualify for the grant, and successful applicants can receive money back to help cover registration fees and hotel expenses. To apply for the Rancher Resilience Grant, go to ncba.org and click on the Producer tab.
Welcome back to this special episode as we continue our look at the Environmental Stewardship Regional Award winners for 2021. Cattle producers face all kinds of challenges when it comes to protecting the environment, but they all have a common goal: leaving the land better than they found it. Let's head to Region 5 and the winning operation from Montana.
If you can do a better job of managing your ranch, that's going to benefit you ecologically, economically, and the whole sustainability picture comes from always trying to do a better job. I'm Chris King. Our ranch is the Josie King & Sons Ranch here outside of Winnett, Montana. This is a family operation. My wife and I and our 2 kids, our son Jay and daughter Kylie and her husband Mitch, are all on the ranch now. Our ranch encompasses a little over 20,000 acres, and about a third of our grazing land is public land. This prairie country here, it's great grazing land.
I think it's good cattle country. Obviously depends on the year. You know, it looks really green. I mean, it does not look as dry as it is. When you have water, it's great cattle country.
"95% of the ranch is native prairie, so that is our business. That grass is what supports our business. That's the most important component of what we do. So to be sustainable, you have to take care of the land.
So our grazing management plan is We run on a deferred management plan through 6 pastures. We're able to circle throughout the summer.
With the deferred rotation, the pasture that's grazed first this year will be grazed last next year.
So that pasture will effectively have 18 months of rest.
We use our airplane as a tool here on the ranch.
My dad has a Piper Cub that he uses to fly and check out how the operation is going, check on the cows and the water situation, and it's a very valuable asset to the ranch.
It's actually a fairly inexpensive for us because it's an old plane. It's a 1943 Piper Cub. My dad bought it when I was a kid, and we've been using it ever since. And it's an efficient way to keep tabs on things, and it's a lot of fun.
We love living on the land, and we do our best to make it better for ourselves, for the cattle, for the wildlife, and for future generations.
I really want people to understand that, like, what's good for the cow is what's good for the deer, what's good for the antelope, what's good for the sage grouse, and that we are out to preserve it.
My hope, of course, is that the ranch will continue on in the family, because that's what you're always doing. You're always trying to build for the future. You're always trying to improve what you have so that it is sustainable. We put in a lot of hours here, but we like what we're doing. We like being out here, so it makes it rewarding.
Now, we're not done talking about the 2021 ESAP Regional Award winners. When we come back, we'll show you the great work being done at 2 more award-winning operations. Stay with us.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
They're here, they're hungry, and they can't be stopped with ivermectin alone. Add Safeguard when you deworm your cattle to take out resistant parasites like brown stomach worm, Cuperia, Nematodirus, and others. With 2 dewormers from 2 different classes, you can kill more resistant worms in your cattle, so you don't leave potential on the table. Consult your veterinarian for the diagnosis and treatment of parasitism. Then bite back at safeguardworks.com.
Every day, cattlemen and women do all they can to provide the best possible care for their land and the animals who call that land their home. They do so because they're committed to protecting and improving their natural resources and leaving a strong legacy for the next generation. Today, we're highlighting the 2021 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's take you to Utah to meet the Region 6 award winner.
Sustainability is a process, and whatever happens tomorrow will be affected by what I do today. But if you are wise and listen to the land, it'll tell you what it can do. I'm John Ferry, J.Y. Ferry & Son, located here in northern Utah on the Bear River Delta. My great-grandfather immigrated here right after the railroad at the turn of the century. I'm 4th generation. I operate on our ranch with my brother, and I have a son who's coming along on the 5th generation.
Sustainability is a daily goal for our family, and sustainability to me means managing the resource in such a way that it's here for generations.
Our cow herd is wetland based, and the vegetation that's in the wetland is varied, but the one that's a challenge is a species called Phragmites. Phragmites is an invasive weed. And the reason it's invasive because you cannot naturally control it. Historically, Phragmites has been controlled by herbicide, by spraying it to kill it. But we discovered in our own operation that we can control Phragmites by grazing it.
But when you spray it, you kill everything. When you burn it, you kill everything. When you drought it, you kill everything. And we have been places where they haven't had cattle ever, and it is just a thick jungle mess of Phragmites. You can't walk through it. There's no habitat whatsoever for anything, for any birds, or any ducks, or geese, or anything. And that's where we come in, because you have cattle that are trained, recognize what the plant is. They will graze on it, select it out, and all of a sudden you are turning a disaster into a grazing opportunity.
Phragmites pushes the birds out and the wildlife species that would traditionally use these wetland areas. And so by grazing it, what you do is you're pushing back. You're preventing it from spreading, because there are literally thousands of cattle now in the valley grazing on Phragmites every summer. And what we've been able to show is that done the right way, proper management of cattle in these wetland areas actually improves the wetlands.
We take it serious, the responsibility we have for the environment, for the legacy of the past, and for the future of this operation.
I'm constantly looking for opportunities to improve, to enhance what we have, because we have a beautiful resource here, and I love it. This is irreplaceable.
Every day I'm out on this place, I look at it and say, this is what my grandfather started. And I need to be able to proudly say that I did the best I could, took what was here, improved upon it, and passed it on.
Thank you to the National Cattlemen Beef Association and the Environmental Stewardship Award Program Committee members for allowing me to share a few remarks as Chief of the Natural Resources Conservation Service. NRCS has been a decade-long sponsor of the annual ESAP, and our agency is proud to invest in this important program as we look to engage with current and inspired future caretakers of the land. Many present and past award recipients are our customers, friends, and partners, each with a vested interest in conserving natural resources on their grazing land. I thank each of you for the conservation work you do daily on your operation that ensures sustainability working lands for today and the future. In closing, I want to congratulate this year's regional winners tonight on behalf of the agency and our employees across the states. Again, thank you.
We've got one more ESAP regional winner to show you. We'll introduce you to that operation when we return. Stay with us.
These are the pennies it costs for Alticid IGR protection, making it one of the best values in the market, designed specifically for fighting hornflies on pasture. As a supplement, Alticid IGR is part of what you're already doing, and as a feed-through, what your cattle are always doing. Take shelter from the swarm for just 2 to 3 cents per animal per day. That's just $4.50 per animal per season. For hornfly protection that has been performing for over 40 years with no known resistance. Alticid IGR.
Welcome back. We're bringing you some great stories about those who make their living on the land and their outstanding conservation efforts as we honor the 2021 Environmental Stewardship Regional winners. Now, let's introduce you to the Region 7 winner from South Dakota.
Grass was meant to be grazed, and cattle are the tool that we use to do that with, and the cattle have really improved the environment out here.
I'm Rich Blair with Blair Brothers Angus Ranch in Vail, South Dakota. So this ranch was established in 1954 whenever my dad moved here.
We're mainly a cow-calf operation in that we'll run around 1,000 cows in 2 different locations.
And then now we've got my son Britton and his son Chad involved. It's very much a family operation. What Ed and I have focused an awful lot on is developing water on the ranch. And the main reason to get the water was so that we could have grazing distribution and get the cattle scattered and graze a pasture evenly.
So if you can spread out your water, you spread out your grazing. We're never done with it. Man, you think we got lots of tanks and lots of cross fencing and that, but there's always another project that you could fulfill to help utilize what you have better. On this ranch especially, we've done a lot of cross fencing. It started with small pastures. We'll rotate cows every 2 to 3 days in the spring. It's like mowing your lawn. You go in and you clip it off, not short, but just half of what's there. And then as it rains, it'll grow back really fast. So we feel like we get like a month of free grazing by just rotating those pastures really fast, clipping them off and getting off of them.
You know, we're always out monitoring the environment, and we want to graze cattle, but we also want the wildlife to thrive and all species really to thrive with what we're doing. And those of us in ranching really work hard at improving the environment every day.
I believe that cattle make a healthy environment. A well-managed cattle operation, you're sequestering carbon into the soil. And the cattle, through the good grazing management, will sequester more carbon into the soil than non-grazed operations.
The cattle operation that we run, in my mind, is very economically positive, very sustainable.
We always try to make things better on the land because it's the right thing to do. And also, we want to be here for generations.
It's a generational thing. To have the appreciation, and the understanding of what you can do out here managing this resource.
And if we can benefit the land and the wildlife and the livestock, and ultimately we're in business to make money, and I think by doing what we're doing, you can. It is beneficial for everything.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this special edition of Cattlemen to Cattlemen and tell you how you can be nominated for the Environmental Stewardship Award. Stay with us.
From the very beginning, Ritchie has been dedicated to one thing: helping people deliver fresh, constant water to their animals. Today's Ritchie waterers rely on a valve design that remains much the same as it was in 1921. It's a simple idea. Do it right, and the rest will take care of itself. We never set out to create a company that would be around for 100 years. We just wanted to create something great.
You have an upcoming production sale to advertise? Then contact the Cattlemen to Cattlemen marketing team or your breed association to learn more.
Now, it's not too early to start thinking about nominations for the next group of Environmental Stewardship Award winners. Any organization or individual can nominate a beef producer for the Environmental Stewardship Award. You can download a copy of the nomination packet at environmentalstewardship.org. For this week's legacy photos, we've got some beautiful images from all of these award-winning operations. Let's have a look. Now, one of these Regional Stewardship Award winners will be named the national winner at the Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting. It's an important event where members of the cattle industry come together to discuss current issues as a group, work on programs and initiatives, and make plans for the upcoming fiscal year. You can get details on how to attend this important event at the website ncba.org. So there you have it, the 7 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award for 2021. We salute and thank all the winners, the sponsors, and everyone involved who has helped make the Environmental Stewardship Award program a success for more than 3 decades. That's our time for this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.